Okay, this is our first video on site inspections, part one on trees. This is basically a compilation. We've had some people ask us what goes on when we do a site inspection, and so I was out with Bill and grabbed my iPhone and shot some video. We've broken it up into two parts, looked at the trees and we looked at turf. This is the first one, which is the trees. About 9 minutes long. Hope you enjoy it. Explain, I'm videoing you.
Okay. Well, these are what we call aerial roots right there, and it's in a search for air rather than just about anything else. But this was a mulch area up on the bark of the tree, and most of the feeder roots are located in here. There's probably not very many roots out near the drip line of the tree, so most of it was concentrated in a very small area. This tree is already defoliated, which is not a good sign. There's one that's in better condition because it doesn't have. You see, it doesn't have.
Bill, is that the same kind of tree?
Yeah,
Are these both the same tree? Oh, wow.
And you can see there's no mulch around the base of that tree.
Yep.
And this one still has its leaves on it. Same thing with that one back there. That has no mulch.
Is this one salvageable? Right here?
It's possible. It's possible. I'm going to pull some leaf tissue samples.
All right.
Is this the mushy area that you were talking
No, this is the area he had shallow roots. I think he's talking about.
Well, obviously, our first recommendation would be to shut the irrigation off, everything here. Because if they blow it out mid-November, these plants don't need any more irrigation. Every one of these trees has leaf tip burn from sodium accumulation.
What? Pull one off so I can get a close up on it. See if I can. Okay, yeah, that shows up. Are you talking about the black and brown?
Yeah,
that's from
the tip. Here's another good example.
Don't they do that in nature? They don't do that just naturally?
Naturally, if it's in a good soil environment, you won't see this.
They'll just discolor naturally. I mean, in one uniform.
Before it defoliates for the winter, that entire thing will fade evenly.
Okay.
And then drop off.
Okay.
But the edges around the leaf and the tip have been that's sodium accumulation.
Is there another reason that would happen? Are there any other explanations?
Not really.
Okay. Well, the test will tell us.
Yep. Test will tell us. And this is the best looking tree out here.
Yeah, I know. All right, so this is the roots that
have all of this right now is not to do anything and let it overwinter like this, and then come spring, take all of this away.
those are
roots.
These are roots right here. You can't really tell unless I get my finger up and start pulling on it.
And you see the fine roots.
Oh yeah.
And root hairs. These are what absorb water and nutrients and transpire, absorb carbon dioxide.
And these are looking for air, you said?
Yeah. That's why they're on the surface.
Huh.
But they're all over. This is kind of an unusual phenomenon. This is a tree that's desperately trying to survive.
All right, so here we are. We were talking a little bit earlier about mulch volcanoes. And, hey, Bill, why don't you see if you can poke around there and see if you can see any roots in that mulch area.
Well, these are all roots right here.
Oh, my gosh. So here what you have is you have this mulch layer that's preventing the rooting system from developing, and I thought those were twigs there, but they're actually pull on one of those.
That are desperate for air.
Pull on some of those roots. Let me try
and root right there.
I'm gonna try and like look.
It's a root. This is a root. Here's a root.
That's just...
And they're not very strong roots either. But that's a root. So these are all roots that we can see. And the bark, you can see, is beginning to rot away right here. And you see the roots here that are now growing in this mulch. And it's problematic.
And it's almost completely defoliated. Now, you might say, well, maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be. But I think what's really interesting, if I pan a little to the left here, I'm going to show a natural forest area that's a buffer zone. And you can actually see that in the background, the actual untreated, untended, uncared for, unirrigated forest trees are in far, far healthier shape than the tended to, pampered tree here on this beautiful landscape. So we're going to find out what's causing that, but it's just, I think, interesting to note the difference between the tree in the artificial environment and the trees in the natural environment, and notice something is very wrong. So, Bill, go ahead and kind of walk us through, in this particular case, maybe starting with as just at the bottom here, we're looking at the root.
Move this over. This tree is not well supported by its support roots, and I can move this tree in all directions, which is probably the reason the landscaper has tagged this for replacement. However, if you look on this, this tree actually has some buds, which are green and alive. So this tree has living tissue all the way to the top.
Here, let me see go ahead and pull that down again just so I can see. So how can you tell that there's living tissue there, Bill?
Because this is the cambium layer right here, which is a very thin layer underneath the bark of the tree.
Okay.
And it's green.
Okay.
And that's an indication that this tree is translocating nutrients and water all the way to the tip.
Okay.
All right. And down here, it's also beginning to suffer, but it still has green tissue. Before I would agree to have any of these trees taken off, if it isn't totally dead, is to begin a regimen of soil conditioning. This tree can be, quote, taken out and replanted properly before I would replace
You mean the actual, when you say this tree, you mean this actual tree, we could actually pull it out,
yes,
re-amend the soil, and plant it again.
It would be a good idea to amend the soil. I would recommend compost, okay, and then put it back into the planting hole. And starting next spring, you would have a much better plan of attack to soil conditioning.
Right.
That this tree would very much benefit from.
So let's take a look at the soil conditions right here. You brought...
I have the soil compaction tester here. Well, there's part of the problem. You can tell just from here there's construction debris, rocks throughout the soil profile, which is part of a challenge anyway.
Right.
But just from an agronomic point of view.
So that one seemed to go in a little easier.
You kind of have to avoid the big rocks that are in here.